Hi, my name is Catherine, and this is Accounting My Stitches, my YouTube channel where I talk about all things cross stitch. Normally, I post a video every other week that's a more traditional Flosstube that talks about my whips and plans and all the fun things. This is going to be something different. This is going to be a Flosstube extra as a little vlog from my time at Midsummer Stitch, since y'all seem to enjoy my video from Stitching in the Wild. The way time works, if you're only interested in seeing the whips, you might want to go ahead and skip this one because you will have seen the whip progress on the video that posted last week. So this will be really the benefit here is just me yapping and telling you, maybe the people I saw, the things I enjoyed, just a bit more fun things. It is Friday evening. I haven't hopped into Harvest Moon Hangout yet. The shopping hasn't opened yet. And I just wanted to come on here and give you a quick little update. Some of my, I suppose, goals for the weekend. I mean, of course, goal number one is to have fun, have a ton of fun. That's priority number one. And I'm sure I will do that. But outside of that, I do have a few more things I'd like to get done this weekend. And I thought I would share them with you. First, I would like to FFO this small. This will be for my artist trading card hosted by Laura by Stitching on the Shore. I have it completely finished, stitched. I just need to FFO it. It's going to be so simple. It's going to be so simple. I just need to do it. And so I'm hoping to maybe do it this weekend, maybe while one of the interviews are on, something like that. Also, I hope to, I'm not sure which to show you first. So this is my Yosemite piece by Blada X Stitch. I want to fill in all of the sky, and then I think it might go away for a little while. I think it might go away until spring, maybe. But yes, this is my goal. There's only, I don't know, 200, 300 stitches up in here. And so that's one of my goals is to fill this in. And then my other goal is to tea dye some of this. So the story here is that last year's Jingle Ball, I only found out about it like 2 weeks before it happened, but that was fine. I joined, I had a fun time. And so they had all these classes available, but a lot of them had pre-stitching. Well, and really the one I was most drawn to was the Tiny Modernist. It was a gingerbread house last year. It was teaching you how to make the gingerbread house. So I didn't do that because I knew there was no way I was going to do all the pre-stitching and then put it together in, the 30 days that we had to watch the video. So I just didn't do it, but I did buy the patterns. She had patterns in the shop for like 4 different ones. And obviously throughout the year, it hasn't called to me. I'm slowly realizing that I am more of a seasonal stitcher. And so I just didn't feel like stitching Christmas outside of Christmas. And even at that time, I was mostly monogamous. Anyway, so here we are, 2025, September, and the viewing for the Jingle Ball classes for this year is available. You can't sign up for them, but you can see what they are. Lo and behold, Tiny Modernist has another how to build a house, or how to FFO it into a house. And I want the help, but but I got to do it. And so step one for me, of course, there's been a lot of things holding me back from starting the project. Among them, the deep desire to work on it. But one of the other things that has been holding me back is I think I need to tea dye this Ada, or some Ada. I'm choosing this. This is a big, huge, not been used piece of DMC Charles Craft. I got this from Joann's when they were closing. It was like the last piece of Ada hanging on the wall, and I went, I need that. This is not white. It's like an ivory, and in my brain, that's going to help me with the tea dye to have just a bit of a darker base. And so I need to tea dye it. I have figured out what dimensions. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut one piece that is big enough for all 4 sides of the house. And then and tea dye it all together. And then once that's done, I'll cut it into 4 to be able to work on them one by one. So I'm not wrangling this huge piece of fabric. But yeah, so that's the plan. So I need to cut this and tea dye this. I can cut it. I feel fine about that. And long of which to explain, my goal for the weekend is to tea dye some of this. I'm not saying I'm going to get started on that gingerbread house. I'm not even promising to myself, what I might do. If I'm going back and forth. Part of me is like, well, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. And part of me is like, well, but you want the finished product, so you should probably just go ahead and do it, Anyway, y'all understand. But so step one in that whole process is going to be to tea dye some of this Ada. And step zero of that process is going to be for me to go to the store and get some cheap tea that I feel good about using for dye. I have some tea at home, but it's it's the good stuff. I don't wanna use it for dye. So I have to do that. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. Like I said, it's Friday evening. I don't really want to go now, but what I want to do is go ahead and cut a piece of this Ada and tea dye it. And in order to do it, I have to go to the grocery store. I have my list, it's a whole thing. But I think those are my 3 goals for the weekend. And yes, thanks for coming along and watching with me. I'm sure I will see y'all later. As you can tell, we have Pepper back there. So we'll see how long he feels like hanging out. I will check in later. Hello, it is just after 6 p.m. on Friday. The shopping haul just opened about 10 minutes ago. I was able to jump in and I got the cat pattern, which I will pop up here. And then I stretched myself and I got the 32 linen. One, that fabric was beautiful. I kind of want to do that cat pattern on the linen. We'll see. Of course, it would fit beautifully in an 8x10 on 28 count, but I wanted to try some 32, so I got that. I might still put it in an 8x10. It'll just be a little bigger. And it's just barely too big for a 5x7. Of course, I could get it custom framed, but I love a standard size frame. And maybe I'll see what Art to Frame has, so many future problems. But I wanted to pop in and let you know that. Shortly after, so after I got off the last time, I did go ahead and run to the grocery store. And of course, it was I wouldn't have thought it was about to rain as I was driving. As I got out of my car, there were like a few drizzles, but it wasn't much. And then, of course, as soon as I get out of the store, as I'm checking out, it's pouring. And I'm thinking to myself, well, but I got to get back. I got this event. Like, I don't want to wait for it to stop raining because who knows how long that'll take. So, of course, I sprint to my car. I just get soaking wet. And then I went to Aldi. And so you have to have to is a strong word, but you have to return your cart afterwards. And so after I returned my cart and then walked back to my car, it was even a little less than it had been. And I was like, oh, I literally could have waited 30 seconds and it would have improved. And then, of course, I drove home and with 5 minutes down the road. And then after I got out of my car, like it had stopped. And I was like, I really should have just waited 2 minutes. But, it's impossible to tell. I had no way of knowing. So I got the tea, so I can do that later. Half the reason I tell y'all things is just to make sure that I do it. Because if I tell you I'm going to do it, I got to do it. And so I did go ahead and FFO my artist trading card for Laura Stitching by the Shore, her swap. So I did it, and it's funny, as I was doing it, Laura popped into one of the stitchy rooms. Well, I guess I'll say when I first got in, I popped into, 5 or 6 different rooms, just looking for the vibe that I wanted. And I ended up in the International Stitchers room and had a lovely time. And so I sat there and I started FFOing this. And Laura Stitching by the Shore popped in. When I was in Charlie, Stitching with Charlie was already there. I also saw Stitching on the Rock, Sarah's Stitchy Spot, and Bookish Pixie Stitchers. They were all there, along with a bunch of other people, but it was an absolutely lovely time. And I popped off to go run to the store, the shopping hall. And I'll tell you, I cut this piece of Ada. This is the piece of Ada I'll be using to tea dye. I have my tea. I have this Ada at some point this weekend, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, who knows. But it's cut. So step 1, that's done. And I will show you my progress on, and of course, this thread is in the front. I told myself, I'll just put that in the back before I start recording. Did not. Oh, and then I unthreaded my needle. Classic. But here's my progress. I've made some good progress. I don't really know how many stitches, but some progress. It's almost done. I'm not sure if I'm going to finish this tonight or if I'll procrastinate it and finish the fill-in tomorrow. But that is my update. I'm probably going to hop off or, whatever. I'm probably not going to join back in just yet. I'm going to go ahead and make dinner, eat some dinner, and then I will probably be back in the stitching rooms, and maybe even I'll try with speed dating. Who knows? But wanted to check in. Hello, it is 10:15 p.m. Friday night. My supervisor is still hanging out doing some supervising. I am tired, so I am heading to bed. After I did my last little thing, I made some dinner, ate, hung out in a room or two, and then I got a message from my friend Jess at Sloan Stitches that some people were in another room. So I popped in, and it was Jess, Sloan Stitches, Abby, Mountain Mama Stitches, Andrew the Runner Stitcher, and Jason, Jason X Stitches. And then Melanie and Michael came in, Uplift Stitches. I knew there was another. And it was great. We all just, got to chat. It's so funny. I consider them to be my Flosstube friends, even though I hadn't like live chatted with any of them. I watch their videos and they comment and they'll comment on my video, but we hadn't ever actually like live interacted. And it was so much fun. I'm so glad we got to do that. That's the magic of these Lindy Stitches events. At the last one, I got to live chat with some other, Flosstube friends for the first time. And it's just such a great opportunity for the community to hang out and make new friends. And it's just really great. I really, really, really had a fun time stitching with them. And then some people popped off, and then who just came in? Jennifer Spence, Paper Bear Co. Little Paper Bear Co. That's her handle. She came in and I got to chat with her. She has a Patreon where she hosts Zooms throughout the month, and you can join for free. Patreon is where she puts her links, and I've been hanging out with them, and so it was really fun for her to pop in and join the conversation. Anyway, like I said, it is 10:15 and I'm tired, but I will show you my progress on Halloween letters. Ta-da! What does it say I am? I'm 45% done, which is awesome. I've been really enjoying, I've added most of this word and the shrieks and this and all of these Smyrna crosses down here. And I did the back stitch on the spiders here. And it's just been really fun. I've really enjoyed working on this. But yeah, as I said, I am headed to bed now. So I will see you sometime in the morning. Hello again. It is currently noon on Saturday. We just ended the designer chat with Holly of Stitchy Pros. It was really interesting. I found out that she used to be an accountant and, love some good accountant representation. And it was just fun to hear from her. I always enjoy those designer chats. This morning, after I got up and got ready, I did a little bit of speed dating. It was fun. At one point, it was like thinking too long before it matched me with someone else. And I was like, I'm not dealing with this. So I popped into the stitchy rooms and I popped around a little bit, like just trying to find a good vibe. Finally settled in one. I got to meet Beth the Steadfast Stitcher. I'm sure I've seen some of her videos before, but she's definitely one that a lot of people have mentioned. And so it was just fun to see her. I wanted to show you my progress on Halloween letters. It's been 120 stitches today is what markup says. I've definitely worked on this E and filling in this purple and starting over here. I would definitely like to finish this row at minimum today and probably start up, but I don't know, lots of projects, but lots of cool stuff. I'm going to pop back into the festivities. It is 2:15 on Saturday. I have had a great early morning stitching with friends in some of the stitching rooms. So many people, a lot of the same people that I've been seeing, but just friends, lots of good vibes, meeting some new people, all the things. But I wanted to show you, I hit 50% on my Halloween letters. Very exciting. I love these big round numbers. But yeah, so I finished the shrieks. I started up there. And it's 50%. Now I'm going to move into the living room to watch Stitch Crypt is the designer chat that's coming up here shortly. And I'll also start working on my tree of books. It's funny, I've heard people say sometimes you're in the mood for fill-in and sometimes you're in the mood for confetti. And I kept thinking to myself, I've never been in the mood for confetti. I mean, I do it for tree of books, like sometimes I'm in the mood to work on that, but it's more for the project and not for the confetti. Well, I've recently found out, or not found out, but realized is I guess the word, that a lot of my projects are fill-in projects. And so I'm in the mood for not fill-in, which means tree of books. And so it's funny, like now I know they're talking about. But yes, I'm going to go do that now. I'll check in later. It is 10:15 on Saturday night and I'm about to head to bed, but I wanted to pop in and do a quick little check-in. The rest of the day was great. We had the interview with Stitchy Pros. No, Stitch Crypt. there were a lot of people today. We had the interview with Stitch Crypt first this afternoon, and that was fun. Good to see all of her things. Found out apparently in several different patterns, I don't know if it's every pattern or just some of them, she will put in a secret frog. And you know, the fun stuff you learn. And then after that, we had the chat with Gloriana Silks, which was awesome. So informational. And just the lady who started Gloriana Threads, I don't remember her name, but she was very knowledgeable, very charismatic, eager to teach us anything we wanted to learn, full of so much information. It was really fun. I didn't really know too much about silks. I haven't stitched with them yet. And it was really enjoyable. And then after that, I went into some stitchy rooms. I got to meet Joshua from Cross Stitch in Cambria, which was really fun. And also Lola Crow was in some of the stitchy rooms and got to hang out with more Flosstubers, some more friends that I'd seen yesterday and earlier today, and some new people again. And it's just been a really fun day. And as promised, in my living room here, I have been stitching on Tree of Books because I have been in the mood for confetti, and I hit 23%. So let me show you. Here it is, 23% done as of right now. I did 500 stitches today. Very, very chuffed with my progress. This blue book coming in, it has been stunning. I've been obsessed with it all day as I've been putting it in. Good morning. It is about 8:15 on Sunday, and I wanted to just check in. I forgot to say last night, I met Lisa from Paddock Lane Designs in one of the stitching rooms last night, and she is so lovely. She was so inclusive and made everyone feel so welcome. She made a point to go around and, oh, what are you working on? What are you working on? And talking to people by name, and then somehow the conversation got onto music, and it turns out she's a very accomplished musician in a bunch of different instruments, and just like lots of interesting stories to tell about that. But then she went, oh, does anyone else play an instrument? And of course someone else did, and they talked about that. Oh, does anyone else play an instrument? And just really made sure to take the time to make sure that everyone got to contribute to the conversation and felt heard. And I was really impressed by that. And I haven't watched any of her videos yet or bought anything from her, but I definitely will in the future. She's such a lovely human. So go check out her things for sure. I am feeling a little more low energy today, which is completely normal and human, and I'm not worried about it. But I'm not really sure how much chatting, how much interaction I'm going to be doing today. We're going to play it by ear. But also, I do recognize it's Sunday. It's do or die time on the last of my little silly goals for the weekend, including finishing filling in my Yosemite. This is at most 3 strands. One little strand right here, and maybe at most 2 strands up there. I just need to get it done. And also, tea dyeing this fabric has not yet happened. Maybe when I'm not socializing, I can do that. I think I'm going to start my morning though with some more Tree of Books. I just really found it pleasant, especially after all of this mindless fill-in, to have some color changes and just a little bit more of a challenging stitch. So I think I will do that, but I'll check in later. Here I am, tea dyeing at 10 a.m. I think normally I would have just used hot water out of the sink, but I rewatched the tutorial from Unfinished Stitches, and they said you really wanted to use boiling water because the hotter the water, the better the tea, the darker the tea. So that's what I'm doing. So I ended up using 5 tea bags, and this is how it's looking. I think it's a little darker than that. It's a little darker than it's coming out on camera. But I think this looks good for my gingerbread house. Because I'm doing it for the gingerbread house and I don't want it modeled, I think I'm just gonna hang it up to dry, like in my bathroom, maybe. They don't, in the tutorial, rinse it at all. When I've been doing Rit dye, I've been rinsing it and then just laying it on a towel, but they don't rinse it, and I don't, I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to go off book here. So I will just hang it up as is to dry. Hello, it is 12:45 on Sunday. After I finished my tea dye, I did hop into one of the stitching rooms, found a few of my friends. That was fun. I am taking a break now to have some lunch, and I wanted to show you my progress on Tree of Books. I've done about 200 stitches today. Here we are. I filled in more up here, some of this black, and I'm starting to work on this up into here because I want to fill this in and kind of work left to right. The page line somewhat obviously is right here, but here I just, was like finishing out my thread. Sometimes I got farther than others, but yes, this is where I am. Hello again. It is 2 o'clock on Sunday. Like I said, I tea dyed the fabric earlier today and then I was letting it dry. So I checked and it was completely dry. I was making you a video of how I was kitting up the Christmas village thing, but it didn't work. So anyway, let me show you now. Ta-da, here's the fabric. Nice and dark. I think it'll look great for a gingerbread house, essentially. This is the color I was going for. So I tea-dyed it all at once in one piece, and then the difficult part was cutting it because it's essentially like the front and back are taller than they are wide, but then these pieces are like longer than they are tall. And I did the math and it worked well to have them like stacks like this and then too wide. So that's what I did. But then when I'm cutting, I couldn't cut exactly in four. I had to like triple measure. And then of course my fabric was too small. I know it probably shrunk a little bit in the dye process, but then it's like, how do I adjust for that when cutting? And also, I think I probably didn't cut on I've caught myself trying to cut on the X line, like on the grid. That's what I'm going for. But definitely some of those dimensions were not cut on the grid. And it was like I had the fabric on my cutting board, but then like it looked straight, but then I laid the thing down as my cutting guide and it was cutting across 2 or 3 different boxes. And so I erred on the side of cutting the boxes, and I think this will be okay. By my calculations, I've left about 2-inch margins all the way around for all 4 pieces. And I'm just going to center start all of them. I'm just going to figure that out and center start them, and I believe it to be fine. And then as you can see, I marked front, and the 2 sides in the water soluble pen, but also, it's probably going to get cut off. Because I read the directions and it's only leaving like 3/4 of an inch all the way around. I think it'll be fine. We'll figure it out. But so anyway, I cut this and then I was just feeling motivated. So I went ahead and kitted up all of the colors. So here it is, all of the colors on this. That will be on the gingerbread house. I haven't looked at, what colors are on what side, or this is just all of the colors. And I'm going to store it in this little, I'm going to try, store it in this little project bag from my table mate, Holly, from Stitching in the Wild, because this just seems to be a good size. It seems a little fat, but we'll see. And yes, so what I think I'm going to do now is I'm going to eat my vegetables and finish the fill-in on Yosemite, because then that'll tick all of the boxes that I wanted to. And then I might go ahead and get started on this. I'll just put like one piece in the kit in my bag also, because I don't want to get confused. And I labeled them because they're different sizes, so I didn't want to get confused. So I'll put this, somewhere else. And so finish Yosemite, and then I'm thinking I'll go ahead and start this. I did the math. There's 10 weeks between now and Jingle Ball. And so by my math, if I do 400 stitches per week, I should have it done by Jingle Ball in time to take the class and do the thing and combine it. Um, you know, as soon as you tell Flosstube a plan, you change your mind. I'm not saying that's definitely what's going to happen, but I feel like I should go ahead and get that ball rolling. So that's what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll pop into some of the stitching rooms. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll do something else. Oh, the interview with Lola Crow happens in an hour. So I will definitely be live and watching that, and we'll see. Hello, it is 4:40 on Sunday. The Lola Crow interview ended, well, I guess 40 minutes ago. That was really fun. My favorite part is really just getting to know the designers and like see their face and get a little bit of their personality through the interviews with Steph. What I found interesting, I found out that Lola Crow used to be a costume designer before she got into cross stitch in 2020 during the whole gestures broadly. So that was fun. I finally finished all of my Yosemite fill-in. Remember how I said, oh, that's like 2 or 3 threads, and I was including the one thread down here. I wish I was counting how many threads it took to finish the fill-in up here. I didn't, but between 5 and 10 for sure. Probably a combination of me getting used to well, I already wound it up, never mind. My shorter 12-inch lengths, well, 24-inch and half loop start, 12-inch lengths when I used to have 18, but also a little bit of just delusion. I didn't know. I felt like I was pulling and pulling. Goodness gracious. But it's done. Yay! My plan, in as much as there can ever be a cross stitch plan, is to put this away until it calls to me. I'm thinking spring. A lot of fill in. Also have to finish the mountain on this side. But yeah, regardless, the fall section that was fall in my heart is done. And so I think I'm going to get a start on the gingerbread house thing that I got all kitted up. I will check in later, I'm sure. It is just after 8:30 on Sunday, and I'm logging off for the night. Gotta get ready, get up and go to work on Monday. But I had so much fun, such a great weekend of community. We had the finish parade, which was awesome. There was a chatelaine in there that is so beautiful. Definitely is one of the chatelaines that I would stitch were I to stitch a chatelaine. But very beautiful, very inspiring, just lots of, always lots of fun stuff. I also, as promised, got a start on my, what do I even call it? Christmas house is I think what it's called. I will have a picture of the pattern up here. Like I said, it's one of the ones that I got in the pattern. It was a collection. There's like 4 different houses that came in the pattern booklet. That's the word I was going for last year. And I hadn't touched, but look, I started it. This is 133 stitches. So hopefully I'll put a little bit more work into it before my floss tube so I can show it then. And if not, then look, new start. But yes, that will be it for now for this vlog. Thanks for coming along, hanging out with me while I yapped about whatever was going on. As always, I wish for you the serenity to accept the mistakes you cannot change, the courage to frog the ones you can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Bye!